Let's have a talk, let's have a chat, talking about a little this and that. Hello and welcome. We're doing a series on the revelation of Jesus Christ, another look. Today we will be doing episode 10. In our last episode, we talked at length about beast number 1. He would be seen as the person in control of the system that had support from 10 heads of leadership. He would have been telling the tale of being Messiah. He is making war with believers. As I said towards the end, we might have taken it, but to have the second beast arise, that was going to be the real test, because the second beast is very, shall we say, churchy. So then, as if the first beast was not bad enough, the second beast appears. Revelation 13:11, John has been watching the antics, as it were, of the first beast, which has arisen from the sea, and now a second beast arises. This beast arises out of the jes, which can be translated land, ground, or earth. It comes up and out, like the first beast comes up and out of the sea, but this one comes up and out of the earth. And it is radically different. First off, its appearance is vastly different. This one has 2 horns, just like a lamb, except little lambs don't have horns. The Greek word is arneo, Strong's, Greek 721, or lambkin, as in a little lamb. Who are we reminded of when we hear the word lamb? Jesus? Christianity? Okay. But this special horned little lamb has the same rhetoric as the serpent, as in it speaks like the dragon, looks like the lamb, talks like the dragon. Now remember, the dragon is the Satan who was cast down and is furious with the woman who is in the wilderness. And as we have seen, he has 42 months to do his worst. Moreover, the second beast exercises and or performs its duty by the same authority as the first beast. All that this beast does, however, is done in full view or presence of the first beast, who makes the boast of being the Messiah. To anyone who is Jewish and listening, I must stress that this is a trap, okay? In John 5:43, Jesus told the Sanhedrin of his day this: I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you will receive. The first beast comes in his own name, claiming messiahship. Moreover, the second beast is making, causing, and instilling a sense of appreciation for the first beast. The first beast is defined as the one with the fatal but healed wound. After all, it is written in Genesis that the seed of the woman would bruise the head of the seed of the serpent. Genesis 3:15. Jesus defeats Satan, destroying his works, not himself. Now, I also want to point out that after Jesus rose, he appeared to one Thomas and asked Thomas to put his fingers into the wound of the hand and the side and stop being unbelieving. John 20:24 through 29. How does this work on believers even? If you recall, Jesus is the one with all the authority to judge the world, the whole of humanity. He's the judge of the whole earth who does right on the cross, as it were, and will judge the righteous and the workers of iniquity who say they did all these great things in his name. Second beast. All those who did great things in his name. To which he will reply, I never knew you. Matthew 7:23. Now, while it speaks about the treatment of fellow Christians as being the same treatment of Jesus in Matthew 7:23, and it was applicable to the Christians of all times, it will be most especially applicable in this time. John 5:22, Matthew 25:31 through 46. Why do I say this? Well, look at the spectacle of the second beast. Signs are performed by the second beast. One such is listed in Revelation 13:13, the bringing down of fire from heaven. Now, the Greek word Oranos can be translatable as visible and spiritual heavens. But in this case, because it is a sign, it would be visible heavens or sky. The best concept of fire falling may well be lightning. The Greek word for fire is Strong's Greek 4442, or pur. One of the translations is lightning. It lists fire, heat of the sun, lightning, and figuratively strife, trials, eternal fire. The only thing that would be magnificent and yet not destroy the planet and would come out of the sky and yet not be volcanic material falling is lightning. I will not rule out actual fire, however, because what is the source of this signage? The power of the dragon is the source. The application of that power we really don't know. There is an image, and it is made to talk. A continued read of this chapter tells us that everyone either on the planet or in the land is deceived by the signs. The lightning is just one of them. The second beast gets an idea. It tells the people who are giving veneration and or obeisance to the first beast and making statements of loyalty to make an image of the first beast. Here we learn a little bit more about the first beast. Remember the healed fatal wound of one of the heads? It is a sword wound, and the Greek really does mean sword. So this is an ancient beast. Considering that this is the wound of a sword, we also have to consider the life of Christ, and that he defeats Satan at every turn. He is the living word, the living sword, the sword of the Father, unsheathed and glistening to defeat the adversary whose whisper influences the heart. Like I said, defeats but does not kill, destroys the power but not the person. Who grants the recovery of that head anyway? God. Now, many students of this book consider our first beast to be just a system, which on the one hand it is, but it is also represented by a man, the lawless one. For how do you make and animate the image of a system? Also remember that this is matching back to the book of Daniel. The human representation of the beast is a type of Antiochus Epiphanes, who made himself out to be the God-man or Messiah. He stopped temple worship. This is the same thing. I don't know that this isn't even what the so-called Messiah actually looks like. Antiochus, that is. I know it's insane, but if you add up all that has been going on, a massive tectonic plate shift that has spawned some sort of volcanic eruption and may have caused other plates to be affected, which means more massive quakes and aftershocks and tremors, and anywhere there is an underwater shift that would have caused islands to move, then tsunamis would have occurred. This gives rise to wars, anarchies, and uprisings as places are damaged by quakings or places disappear with loved ones being buried overnight and so much devastation that governments can't keep up. Also, whatever has darkened the days and bloodied the moon will affect the feelings and the well-being of those who are sensitive to the lack of daylight. It talks about men's hearts failing for fear, Luke 21:26. Then we had the bugs, the 200 million killing machines, as it were, the rock that destroyed a third of the marine life and the maritime shipping, the fresh water that is now undrinkable, the fighting over stuff, territories, and the death, the poverty, the lack of food and water and resources, and the body counts. This is, without a doubt, the most maddening time humanity has ever seen in recorded history. In fact, we really see this as levels of judgment from the Old Testament in Deuteronomy 28:34. So you shall be driven mad by the sight which your eyes will see. For the full text of this curse, see Deuteronomy 28:15-27 or Leviticus 26:14-29. So at this point, the populace either in one area of the world or most likely by this time, events that have unfolded are affecting things globally, because we have 10 kings or heads of government that lend their authority and military might, economic support, trade, and commerce support to this system, or perhaps a better word for it would be regime. So, we have all the setup in the thinking of whatever has managed to stay intact amongst the nations of this era, and into this comes this being, this ancient alien, as it were, and he's not from here. But you can make an image, an icon, Strong's Greek 1504, of him. It's translated as statue, bust, likeness, image, or representation. I choose the word statue because it's representative of what Nebuchadnezzar did in his dream. I also choose it because the second beast animates it and makes it talk. Now, honestly, we have the tech to do this right now. It's called robotics. We're getting to the point where AI, or artificial intelligence, can produce lifelike animations to replicate even people. So it might well be technology that causes the image the people have built to talk. At this point, to the mind-blown masses, this might be nothing short of magic. Now we come to how the beast effectively goes after all that have the testimony of Jesus and are the rest of her seed. The image commands that those not worshiping it in the moment should be put to death. Go back to Daniel 2, and we have the same thing. One Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego who survive a fire unscathed. This is why I see the beast as something, not a system, so much as a person, the Antichrist, the lawless one, the deceiver. Add to all this God. Because after all, how on earth might anyone ever fall for all this, no matter how bad things have gotten? 2 Thessalonians 2:11 states, "And for this reason God will send them strong delusion that they should believe the lie." 2 Thessalonians 2:9-12 states, "The coming of the lawless one will be accompanied by the working of Satan, with every kind of power, sign, and false wonder, and every wicked deception against those who are perishing, because they refused to love the truth that would have saved them. For this reason God will send them a powerful delusion that they might believe the lie, in order that judgment may come upon all those who have disbelieved the truth and delighted in wickedness." Moreover, the second beast now deals with the economy. Rich, poor, free, bond, great, small, in short, everyone who can be affected has to take a carving into the body of the right hand or forehead. If you don't have it, you can't buy or sell. This mark represents the name or the number of the name, which is 666. The warning comes in Revelation 13:18 that here is wisdom, that those who have understanding are to count the number. It is the number of a man, a human being, and it's 666. Without this mark, you will have no part in the system. You will be marginalized, unable to hold a job, to keep a roof over your head, to get vital services, medicines, food or drink, as the water is undrinkable. You will also be marked out for death. This is the plight of the believer either in this region of the world or perhaps now finally globally. But to be certain, in any of the 10 nations lending their support to the beast, it will be in effect. This is a complete cutoff of all supplies, and to say, well, we'll just be doomsday preppers and stockpile now is nonsense, because everything expires eventually. We don't know when any of this will happen. So fanatical is the mindset of the marked that they will absolutely expose you and take away whatever you have and drag you forth from wherever they find you to wring out a recantation of Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord, if they can. And if they do, they will then brand you with a mark and kill you. They may even brand you, get you to bow down, and then kill you. Be warned that if you get marked and you bow down thinking that God understands the heart, you would be greatly mistaken. If you compromise to live that far, you will have shown yourself not to be Christ to begin with. More than you know awaits you, because the whole concept here is siege. Siege is designed to stop all the supplies so the city is starved out. But we are those who embrace the siege and choose death rather than compromise. For if you choose to save your life, you will lose it. Matthew 10:9, 16:25, Luke 9:24, 17:33. There was a dual warning to the listeners of Jesus' day as he was talking about the momentary gap of time when the Roman army left only to return in force to break through and destroy both temple and city. But as for the Christians in that day who left en masse just before the siege resumed, so it will be in the day when believers are cut off from civilization as they know it. It's the same difference. You have no idea what will be going on here. They are still unrepentant of their murders, drug, and pornography. Civilization has already crumbled. It's not got any moral fabric to it anymore. And the beast is pushing it. Its bread and circuses give the masses what they want. Sex, drugs, and overall, whatever they can get their hands on. Just take the mark and bow down. Pledge your allegiance to the beast, and you can have it all. Hey, Jesus, if ever you give me the nod, you can have all the kingdoms. They're mine. I can give them to whoever I choose. In episode 9, I said that. Here now I'm saying it again. Because for the Christians, it's the allure of, would you like to not be hungry? Would you like to take a bath? Would you like Granny to not die? Would you like to have medical care? Come step up. Make profess your statement. Pledge your allegiance. Take your mark. Bow down. And then we'll kill you. Once you've been branded and you've bowed, you're through. But for the believers, hold on. This is the patience of the saints. We're going to go through it for a while because something else is coming. Remember the baby? Remember that God is going to foreshorten the time so he can take us out of here? That's right. In our next episode, we will prepare to talk about going home. Until then,